A lot of you have recommended it, so I'm finally giving it a try. Welcome for the first time to Automobilista 2. Now, call me foolish, but for my first ever race in this sim, I'm jumping right into an open lobby. And not just any open lobby either. This is Formula 3 at Bathurst. I must be crazy. I've qualified P10 out of 19 on the grid, so let's get down to business. This one is gonna be wild. Well, I've already made my first mistake before the lights have even gone green. I put it into first gear, foot on the clutch, but the car started rolling backwards, so I quickly put my foot on the brake to stop the rolling, but of course it has cost me a lot of speed out of the traps here. We're going to lose several positions. The best thing we can do is hang it out wide through T1. There's a couple of cars on the grass, one of them sliding back across the track and takes a load of drivers out. We're going to get a bunch of positions back as we charge down the straight here. But even with that wreck, which I think saw 3 or 4 cars crash out, we're down in 13th position, so we've dropped 3 places from our starting position of 10th on the grid. Here's where the real challenge starts. We're going to start climbing the mountain for the first time. We've tucked in behind Parsons in 12th. There's a huge cloud of smoke ahead. What on earth has gone on here? I can't see a thing. Or can we get through? No, we can't. We're tangled up in it too. We're up in the air. We're the wrong way round. This might be race over already. We can still drive the thing, but I don't expect we're going to get very far, or are we? I can't see any visible signs of damage on the HUD. Really reluctant to put the gas down too hard as we climb up this hill. I'm expecting the car to give up at any minute, but it is not. It's handling fine. And even more incredibly, we didn't lose any positions from that wreck. We're still in 13th, although we do have one driver looking menacing behind in the rearview mirror, so we get to the top of the mountain. But yeah, I reckon that this lobby has the damage settings switched off. That collision earlier in the lap really should have been race over, but it wasn't. We survived it without so much as a scratch. So yeah, that is a bit disappointing. It certainly ruins the immersion a bit, but all we can do now is take this race as seriously as we can. Now we're in it, and we're going to gain a couple of more positions here. There's more carnage. We slalom our way through wrecked cars all over the place. That's promoted us up into 11th position. I suspect we might lose a position though. Look in the rearview mirror, the car behind carrying so much more pace down this Conrod straight. It's going to move to the inside. Now I've been involved in enough wrecks, but I've tried to defend here, so I'm just going to let him have that one. I don't want any further chaos on this opening lap. I want to get through it unscathed. Oh, there we go. No sooner do we give him the position, he has stacked it. So we are back into 11th after all. That didn't take long. Now, I'm going to give my honest first impressions of AMS2 at the end of this race, so stay tuned for that. But for now, we're going to look at some highlights to see what mayhem unfolded on lap 1. There's already a wreck in the background before we even make it to turn 1. Now, we're watching me hanging it out really wide here. There's going to be a couple of cars on the grass to the right. One of them slides back on, causes all kinds of chaos. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 cars involved. But it soon got even messier as we started the climb up the hill towards the cutting. It was around this point I realised that damage settings must be off in this lobby, because look at the carnage. It started with a couple of cars locking wheels and ended with driver after driver just steaming in at full pelt. Let's ride on board with one of the victims. He sees a gap in the middle, but he's just going to get squeezed out. The 3 of them collide, and from then on it is an absolute disaster zone. Well, the rest of the climb up the hill was relatively incident-free, but the same can be said for the downhill section. This, unbelievably, is the battle for the lead. What a lunge up the inside into the dipper. That takes out both the first and second place drivers, and the mayhem doesn't finish there once again. More drivers just ploughing in. It's going to get even worse. This is one of the back markers coming around, and that is just going to cause even more disaster. And this is the exact reason why, personally, I don't like damage settings being switched off in online lobbies. For me, it just makes it feel a bit too arcadey, and there's no reward for clean or safe driving. But it is what it is. We're in this race. We've got to do the best that we can. We're going to gain a position. There is a spin as we come through the cutting. That's Max Verkrashen. With a name like that, he's in the right race. Yeah, from the replay we can see he just runs way too hot into this corner, as does the car in front of him. There's contact. Somehow the car in front manages to save it. Max, not so lucky. Now on the downhill section we lost another driver, just overcooking it, getting out of shape and spinning out. These 2 incidents promoted us from 11th up to 9th. On Ninth was to become 8th at the end of the second lap, but only temporarily. Look to the left, that's Ranger, who's just come a cropper in the final turn, rejoining behind me, but he's got so much pace, it doesn't take him long at all to get that 8th position back. In fact, he passed me before the end of this straight. Yeah, here's a replay of the spin, maybe running in a bit too quick into the final turn, also gets a bit too close to the car in front. That might have forced him to lose control. Well, once Ranger got back in front of me, he took off like a rocket. Look at the speed he's carrying as we approach the top of the mountain section. He goes around the outside of Kevin Baker through this fast left-hander to take the position. It looks like we might have lost someone else further ahead. Yeah, there's a car out on the runoff area, so that is going to give us another position. Or maybe it won't, because he rejoins right in front of us and chops our nose off completely. Well, what on earth was this guy thinking? He was involved in a four-way battle for third position when he just clips the grass approaching the skyline. That sends him into the wall, a huge crash, but once again, no damage means he's able to rejoin straight away. Now, at this point, I thought I was safe because he heads to the runoff area, but instead of letting me by, he is going to gas it, rejoin at full pelt right into me. Well, by this point in the race, I was starting to realise that open lobbies with no damage aren't really for me. I'm not enjoying it that much. There's no reward for safe or clean driving. There's no punishment for reckless driving. As you can see there, we have just picked up another position. There was a spun car to the left. There's another one to the right there and another one rejoining. So we're picking up loads of positions here. We're already up to 6th. We're only at the halfway point of this race, just starting lap 4 out of 7, hitting turn 1. Watch the car in front, he's going to get it all wrong, exiting the first corner, out onto the grass. We pull over to the left to allow him a safe rejoin, and that promotes us up to 5th. Well, we saw Ranger pull away at a rate of knots at the start of the lap. By the end of the lap, he was out again, taking it too wide into the chase. No hold of the brakes there as he rolls back onto the track. Then on the final turn, we see another big collision. These two drivers locking wheels and it sends them both into the gravel. Lap 4 then, and we're just going to run it in a little bit too hot into the cut-in. The rear steps out. We just about managed to hold on to it, but that is going to invite a challenge from the driver behind who sticks his nose up the inside. I'm not going to try and defend that position around this tricky quarry section of the track, so we let him have that place. We're down to 6th. We're going to be under pressure from another driver behind as well. Like so many of the drivers on this track, I suspect this guy behind is a lot quicker than me, but also a lot more out of control. So if he wants to make a move, I'll let him by. I suspect I'll get the position back before too long. Well, he did get by me, but I didn't let him past. I made a mistake. I was offline coming into the dipper, and that opened up a big gap on exit. Returning to the live action, lap 5 of 7, and there's no sign that this mayhem is ending anytime soon. We almost lose it through this downhill section, but we managed to save it. The guy on the left, not so lucky, he's upside down, and we also get past the back marker Som. Now remember Som, he's the driver who rejoined right in front of me at the skyline a couple of laps ago. Now I'm keeping the footage rolling here because I want you to watch the rear view mirror. I'm currently 0.6 of a second in front of Som, 0.7 now, so we're pulling away. I'm flat out in 6th gear, so where is Som getting all this pace from? All of a sudden, watch him! He is going to tear past me like I'm standing still. So how on earth is Som finding all that extra pace in the same car? Is it a setup thing in AMS2, or is there something fishy going on? Well, there's something fishy about his braking, that's for sure. He locks right up there and we have to swerve to the outside to avoid him. We get that position back, but this is the last thing I need, getting locked in a fight with a back marker. He's going to make a move up the inside. Oh, what is going on? He locks up again and pushes me out onto the grass just to unlap himself. Well, this race is becoming a real struggle now. Thankfully, there's only 2 laps to go and we can get it done and dusted. Another big lock up into turn 1. I wonder if he's on a controller or something and he's struggling with his braking. Whatever the reason, I'm reluctant to get too close to him, which kind of makes these last couple of laps a bit pointless. He's out onto the grass now. Oh, he's going to lose it, surely. Let's get out as far as we can to the left to not get tangled up in that. Well, yeah, this is what happened to the other poor soul who tried to lap Som. It's actually Som who makes the first mistake, bounces off the wall. The guy behind tries to get around. They lock wheels and he ends up upside down. We can't really see it from that vantage point. The tree's in the way. So let's ride on board with him and we can see the full effect of this collision. And unfortunately the viewing doesn't get any prettier at the end of the lap. This is Sob trying to unlap himself. He locks up the brakes again, slides right into me and pushes me off track. So we're approaching the end of the penultimate lap now. We're still in 6th position, but we're going to get a sniff of 5th because there's an instant up ahead. You can see the cloud of smoke. The driver in 5th rejoining, but that gap that was 6 or 7 seconds is now just 0.4 of a second as we head to the dipper. So we're going to have 1 lap to go. He's out into the wall, of course. No damage again, so it's not going to cost him anything other than a little bit of exit speed. However, we may be able to make a move and take 5th position here. Now, I hate it when people try this move up the inside into this fast right kick, but what the heck, I'm going to try it myself here. We're side by side. I'm carrying a little bit of extra space. I want to make sure I leave him enough room. I don't want to force him off track. We leave plenty of room on the inside. He's holding on, though. There's no way around for us. He's got the inside line into the chicane, holding on to that 5th position. We're ready to strike behind, though. Finally, a decent battle in this race. This is encouraging. Well, at the start of the last lap, we did get that 5th position, but not through an overtake. It's because the driver in 2nd just gave up here. I suspect running out of fuel. I can't think of any other explanation. And before we return to the live action, let's just see the crash that brought me closer to the driver in front. Half a lap to go then. We're staying right on the tail of this guy in front. Of course, he's up to 4th now. We're in 5th, so we could get a 4th position out of this race. We're quicker through this downhill section. However, I'm struggling a little bit on exit out of this left-hander onto the Conrod Straight. And once again, we can see him just open up a 10th or 2. Now, I'm not as close as I was a lap ago, so I don't think we're going to be able to try the same move into this right-hander. We are picking up a bit of toe now, so we're closing in slowly but surely, but yeah, not close enough to make a lunge up the inside. I'm going to have to hang back and hope that he runs in too hot into this chicane. Doesn't look like he's going to, though. He's made the apex. He's a little bit deep into it, but we follow him in too deep as well, and he's going to get an extra 10th or 2 on exit. So yeah, we're not close enough. Provided he doesn't make a foolish mistake in this final turn, we're going to have to settle for 5th place. But I'm not really going to shout too much about any sort of finishing position in a race like this. And just as we cross the line, an almighty collision. Well, I'd say this is a fitting end to this race. The driver who finished 3rd just parks on the line. Has he run out of fuel? He gets absolutely drilled as we battle to the line. I don't think he has run out of fuel because he suddenly starts going now. But did that smash happen in time for us to get 4th place? Well, unfortunately, no, it didn't. We had to settle for 5th. By the time that car in front of me absolutely drilled that car on the line, he had just crossed the line. So he was 4th. I had to settle for 5th. So what are my honest first impressions of Automobilista 2 after that race? Well, let's start with the positives. It looks fantastic. It's really colourful, it's really bright, it's really vibrant, and it sounds great too. The car noises, the engine, the sounds of the crashes were fantastic. I really like that. Installation and setup, that was really easy too. I've got a Thrustmaster TX base, I've got Thrustmaster pedals, and it was a breeze. Just plugged it in and it was good to go. Fantastic. So that's the good points. What about the not so good? Well, you saw the evidence on camera. The race wasn't great. There wasn't much racecraft. And I think that's largely down to the fact that I entered an open lobby that had the damage settings switched off. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm not a fan of having no damage in races. You don't get any rewards for safe and clean driving. You don't get punished for recklessness. I see the benefit of having it. It helps everyone get to the finish line. But ultimately, in the long term, it doesn't make you a better driver when you've got nothing to lose. But a lot of people did say to me, stay clear of the open lobbies in AMS2, they're not good. And well, yeah, we've seen today they're not good. But thankfully, help is at hand. There are some great communities out there offering brilliant AMS2 racing. And I can't let this opportunity slip by without giving a shout out to MetzVR. If you've not followed him on YouTube yet, check out his channel. He streams most nights on AMS2 and it's fantastic. The racing is great, and to be honest, it's the main reason that got me to buy AMS2. I watched how much fun they were having and thought, I want a piece of that. So I think the next AMS video I'll be doing on my channel will certainly be a MetzVR race. Check it out. But as always, thanks for watching. Appreciate you taking the time. Let me know what you thought of the video, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.